Oh, we now know that there's fall damage. That was a good test, but I wish you would have warned me before I picked up that golden shield.
Hey everyone, I'm Rutledge.
And I'm Chevy.
So go ahead, strap in, pick your LZ, and get ready for another round of the Royale, as this week we're dropping into creative destruction.
Whether we want to or not. So Rutledge, have you ever wanted a bad Fortnite clone on your phone to play on your PC?
No, but we just played that.
That is true. Not only did we just play it, we destroyed in it.
It's unreal how easy a game that is A, ported from the mobile platform, and B, still full of mobile players is when you're on PC.
Yeah, I think that's the most surprising thing. Like, we kind of just jumped into this on a whim because we'd seen a couple people playing it, and it's got a shared lobby with their entire mobile space. So the majority of the players you run into, despite its 3,000 something Steam player count, are mobile players. And it's very obvious because they literally can't do anything.
And it's weird because there's a lot of people, according to Steam charts, there's a lot of people playing this game too. So why they feel the need to merge mobile and PC is a little weird to me.
I mean, I think it first and foremost, it's a mobile game. It's a mobile experience. Like, even all of the UI stuff on the PC, they didn't make any tweaks for the PC port of it. Like, you can't do a mouse scroll on anything. You have to actually click your cursor down and drag like you would a touch interface for everything. And, you know, along with that, you have the shitty monetization that we see on mobile on the PC. You know, there's no real way around it. The instant you launch the game, it shoves it in your face and continuously shoves it in your face, even while in the game.
Skins. Buy their skins.
Buy their time-limited skins. So you don't own that for more than 7 days.
Yeah, they definitely thrust it in your face. I mean, as soon as you launch the game, it is buy this. All right, here's the lobby.
And then in the lobby, here's your queue time for 45 seconds. Also, then the 15-second insert of who has the coolest skin, aka who paid the most money for it, before you jump into the game.
Yeah, so there's this incentive for you to buy their skins, use their skins, show off their skins, which is really weird. And they also, so obviously you have most games having leaderboards, right? Where the most kills, the most score, the most whatever. They have a leaderboard specifically for like your, I don't remember what the word for it was, but like your attractiveness of everything that you're equipped with.
Yeah, I believe they called it the trendsetter, or like the hotness board, that kind of thing.
That was probably the weirdest thing to me.
Super weird and not subtle at all.
No.
When you have a man in a golden glider gliding down saying, "Hey, I'm the coolest. Here's my name. Look at me." And then those people also get special flares in game when they kill someone, or when they die, they get a special kill in the feed, like that's lit up or has sparks or something. It's everywhere. Like, you can't avoid it.
I mean, thankfully, it doesn't affect the game in any way.
Not that we've seen.
Not what we've seen, at least. You still have access to all the guns and everything. It's purely cosmetic, but it is extremely blatant.
Yeah, extremely blatant, and like I just said, unavoidable. It's there in your face constantly, and we haven't seen it affect gameplay. But since most of the interface is that mobile carryover, lots of big buttons, the kill feed is immovable in the center of your screen, and it takes up a good chunk, especially during these special paid for ones that light up.
Yeah, it takes up a massive chunk of your screen. And I mean, the speaking of the interface, it's very mobile. That I actually booted up the mobile game on my phone after we played the other day, and yeah, it's almost identical, with the exception of obviously PC doesn't need like a shoot button on the left and the right, and
without the virtual controller on top of it.
You remove the virtual controller and it's almost identical.
Again, we're ragging on the game constantly. It deserves it. But that said, if they actually decide to make an actual mobile port the game actually has some decent ideas
Yep.
that it did on its own and didn't just steal entirely from Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, there's some parts of this game that if they, like you said, if they made a true port and kind of separated the mobile from the PC community, it would be huge.
Yeah, and some of those good ideas that it comes over, like from Fortnite, you have the 3 different materials. This one, they throw it all into one, and then they offer you this kind of risk reward. Do you spend these materials to upgrade your building structures that you can do so they take more damage, or do you want to be able to build more things? And it's an interesting balance on that.
Speaking of that, there's so essentially you everything you destroy is one material rather than Fortnite that you have the 3 with varying levels of durability. You get your extended durability from upgrading your build skill or whatever you want to call it. And then there is this feature that we've talked about that's awesome. It's the quick build, where you can, before the game, you can hop into this thing and say, all right, I want this to be my prefab. This is, so if I hit F5, boom, this is what's going to pop up.
Yeah, you have 4 panels to work with, and you can build whatever you want with those 4 panels in, I think it's as long as it fits in I think a 2x2. Actually, it would be a 2x2x2 because it's 3D, but it's super cool, and it's something that early on, like, we really wanted to see with Fortnite, and they kind of eventually got to it with the Portafort, but the ability to customize it is super cool.
Well, it's like, I have the standard thing that I always build: walls to my left and right, wall in front, and then a ramp. Somebody's shooting at me, I turn around, hit F5, bam, I'm covered. That is phenomenal.
It is, and it sucks that it's in this game where the mobile players that we're playing against cannot respond in a legitimate way to it, because, the instant you're able to pop that with that quick build, they don't have an answer to it that's as good. It's like, yeah, they could pop their quick build as well, but by that point, any of the PC players are already going to be firing downrange at them and taking out all that cover that they just tried to build.
And I mean, to build on that, kind of the shame is that there's also this ability to build traps and things like that you can use. And I never felt the need to do it because we were just rolling everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that pops up in Fortnite all the time of, you walk upon these massive build fights and you're like, how can I get through this? You can quickly throw some nades, destroy the bottom things, and kind of take the other ones. This has an answer to this, and you can literally build they call it a trap, we'll just call it a utility, that is effectively a bulldozer that just marches forward for X number of squares and destroys any buildings in its path.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, because I was just standing there and this thing just came at me. I was like, what is happening? And so that kind of like the build stuff that they have built off of what Fortnite started with this whole build BR format. They basically said, okay, they're doing this, why don't we add this? And what they added was good. And I would love to see more of it. Unfortunately, this game is too easy.
Yeah.
And, for some people that might be good. Hey, I don't really want a challenge, but I don't enjoy turning around and just being missed over and over again, because mobile versus PC is just not fair.
It really isn't, and the one of my biggest gripes with it is because of the difficulty of it with this shared lobby. The games are way too long. We spend 90% of the match literally just running to the circle. It's maybe 1 or 2 second engagements if there are any along the way. The only real hot zone we get into is the last circle, where most likely you're going to run into another PC player if there are any. I think twice we've run into it of all the games we've played so far, where it was an actual challenge at that last fight. But otherwise, I think we have 5 or 6 hours in the game. We've got 10 or 15 wins.
We've only lost like 1 game.
Yeah,
and that was against a PC player.
Yeah, it's just not been a fun time, because you never get any kind of challenge, and we're not amazing players at most games. Like, we can get wins, but we're We're
Yeah,
not
we get them
Shroud over
W's.
here, you know. It it just speaks to this unfairness with this shared lobby system, and maybe it's just their lack of confidence in their PC port that says that they need to have that just for population's sake. But it doesn't seem, the numbers from Steam charts don't reflect that.
No, I mean I'm showing 2,300 as of an hour ago, and as a comparison, one of our favorite BRs right now, Hunt Showdown, is at 1,800. So it's definitely doing better than some of these other games that we're playing, and
Yeah.
so that they have the community to build off of, and I think that if they did split it like they honestly should, they would probably see a pretty big surge of players just because players will feel challenged. For me, if I'm not feeling challenged, it's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's got good ideas. It just needs to focus on bringing them to this platform better. You know, it obviously has the bucks to throw at it. I've seen streamers, big high name streamers get paid to play it. They've done tournaments. They're doing another one soon. Yeah, they clearly are trying to invest in this game, but I'm not sure why they're not investing in this platform.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't touch on too that the kind of came from the mobile port is the drop system. So the drop system's no different than Fortnite. You're dropping out and Realm Royale, whatever. You're dropping out and picking your point and flying to it. What did come over to PC from the mobile version is the auto drop. And I do like that because I was trying to fix our voice server while we were dropping, and I was like, okay, I want to drop here, and then you just click on auto drop and it flies you there and lands you there. Granted,
Yeah,
it's slower, but if it's a thing like, oh man, I gotta go to the bathroom, you just hit auto drop and run away. And I thought that was kind of cool.
like playing with somebody new is a thing that happens, and if you can say, hey, click on this location and then hit your auto button, they're going to make it there, even if they don't have the precision to get there in the quickest way. You don't have to worry about that. Or if your partner happens to get distracted a lot, you can just make sure to tell them to turn on the auto button before they run off to the bathroom and then drop at the wrong location because they're looking at the wrong color. Rutledge.
Shaded but fair.
Shaded but fair. But no, I do agree. Like the auto drop system is interesting for those cases where something comes up, or I can see it for streamers where they're like, it doesn't really matter if I get there quick, just let me get there and have a minute to speak with my chat. Like, I can see that being a useful thing. It doesn't really take that much of a skill element away because you're going to get there later than most people.
Yeah. And there's three other interesting things I wanted to talk about before we move on to the pros and cons. So one was the footsteps and the shots on the map.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was kind of neat. Granted, that's obviously coming over from mobile as a handicap for mobile players. It's interesting to see in PC though.
It definitely is interesting, and I like it. It is good for accessibility's sake. Like, there are tons of times where you see on the forums where there's someone who's like partially deaf or completely deaf and has trouble like playing some of these games because they don't have some of these options. And this is a game where I feel like I could turn off the sound safely and throw on some music in the background and play and have a good time like that. And I like that those options are there, and it doesn't really take away from any competitive nature in it. That might be partly because we're not feeling competitive in it, but it's not so much that you'd need to worry about it.
Yeah. And then there's the highlight system, which is obviously basic, but the fact that at the end of a match that it grabs you some of the highlights from it, I thought that was pretty cool. It's not using your shadow play, it's not using anything. It's completely in-game highlights. I would honestly like to see more games do that because like, hey, here's a quick 45-second roundup of all the kills you got in this game.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, it also has an MVP button. So it takes that highlight from the best player in the match and shows you their highlight reel, which is pretty cool too. Like, if you're getting destroyed by a guy, you can wait till the end and see if, he's destroying everybody. Or if you see, hey, you're the MVP, you're like, oh, cool, let me take a look at that. It's kind of like the play of the game in Overwatch.
Yeah, I like that feature. And then they are doing a lot with events, and they've got a battle pass, they've got daily quests and daily this, that, and the other, as you would expect in a mobile game. But they did have one interesting thing where they have a map, and on each map is a lighthouse, and each lighthouse is associated with a corresponding named location. And if you do different things in each location, you light up that lighthouse. And once you've lit them all up, you essentially unlock the whole map and get a bunch of gold, I think. But I thought that was kind of cool. It's basically building off of what Fortnite's doing with their weekly challenges. And
Yeah, that incentivized exploring kind of thing.
yeah, and that I like, because I think that a lot of people are more prone to just go right for the kills or whatever, and maybe avoid kind of exploring what developers have built. And there are neat little things throughout every map and every game, so I always like seeing that kind of stuff highlighted.
Yeah, definitely. And those were pretty much along the same lines of some positives we had there.
So it's not all bad. Obviously, we railed on it for a minute there, but there is a lot that we do like, and I think that if they take the time, and we will build on this, I think if they take the time to maybe split their community, it could be really solid.
It's the parent thing. Like, we're not parents of this anyway, but we're not mad at the game. We're just disappointed that it has these other things that kind of take away from some interesting ideas.
Absolutely. But I guess we'll hop into our pros and our cons. So for me, the pros would be, first off, that build system is phenomenal. I like the just one type, choose whether or not you want to upgrade your durability. And then especially that quick build. That quick build is something that made this game stand out for me. There is a lot of weapon variety. So, a couple different long range scoped weapons, a couple assault rifles and all that stuff. So there's a lot of variety to what you can play with. And then the events I thought were kind of neat. So some things that we haven't seen before, the follow the captain, where everyone is highlighted on the map, 6-on-6 and stuff like that. And then they had a weird little like holy event or something, HOLEY, where you had to dig into caverns to get loot, Minecraft style, which was interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was good, but it was interesting.
I appreciate that they attempted it.
Yeah, so I mean, they're definitely going for some unique events, and I think that's a good thing. Con, the mobile players make it too freaking easy. I think that on the PC platform, this is a battle royale that has potential, but I think that as long as the mobile and PC lobbies are together, it's just too easy. The other con would be the monetization, hands down. Once again, skins, buy their skins. And especially the fact that the weapon and clothing skins are timed, that is ridiculous. And then my final con is just that this is a mobile port. The fact that I have to drag with my mouse on certain elements to make them scroll is not good. Especially when I'm in combat, that's not something I want to do. So
yeah, and mine pretty much line up with all yours. Like, I really enjoyed the fact that there are unified materials. I don't have to worry about, do I have enough brick right now? Do I need to maybe get some metal? It's all out the way. Like, I now just have to weigh the risk reward of upgrading my building skill with how much material I currently have, which I enjoy. It's got some basic crafting of those traps and utilities, which is cool. I'm not a huge fan of crafting systems, but this one is light enough that it gives me that option if I want a little bit of extra stuff, but it never felt required, which was nice. And then, like I was mentioning, that any game that has good accessibility options for others that maybe don't want sound or can't hear sound, vision options, all of them, I'll always give an A+ to those kind of features, because more developers need to focus on those things. And cons, yeah, buy their skins, buy them a lot. That's not great. It's everywhere and it's very blatant and in your face, and that's really annoying. The shared lobby with mobile, as we said most of this video, it destroys the feel of most of the things, because there's no real tension or challenge. It sucks. And then it just doesn't feel like it has enough polish on it. It feels super janky. You know, even just your basic moving around and stuff. It feels like a mobile game. You know, and if you've ever played a mobile shooter, you know what they feel like. You know, it just doesn't feel right to move around, especially on mouse and keyboard.
Sounds like we're pretty in line for this one.
Yeah.
So I think from a verdict standpoint, this is not a horrible game. It's not a great game. You know, it's something that if you are just looking for something to putz around in, something you kind of want to try, or, you know, just want to look at something new, then check it out. It's not something I'm outright going to say don't play.
Because it's a free game, I have to say, for its ideas, give it a try, you know. But I can't see us really going back without some sort of substantial changes to it, despite its interesting ideas.
Agreed. I'd say that on the scale of recommended to not recommended, this is probably a playable. It's not worth trying, but it is a playable game if you want to take the time to check out something new.
Yeah.
So that's that for Creative Destruction. If you haven't already, please follow us on Steam. Our curator is in the description below. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel as well. And we have started a Twitter account at Royale Show. So follow that if you just want to keep up with when the episodes are coming out as well.